How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the sort of companion piece to the that we just did right before this. You can probably see because I'm wearing the same clothes, smoking the same cigar. I don't do this every single time we record a video. um, Overrated albums. We did underrated albums. This time we're doing the exact opposite. These albums, in Mike and I's opinion, are talked about way too much. People think quite highly of them, and we never really understood why. Not really like of all time, but just ones that we've come across. So I guess I let it off last time. Mike, you want to lead it off this time?
All right, so I'm going to lead it off with Kendrick Lamar's 2017 effort, "Damn," the follow-up to Pimp a Butterfly, and also Untitled Unmastered. And this thing is just, it's not a Kendrick Lamar piece. I feel like it gets hyped because of who's doing it. And I think if it was an average rapper, this would be a fine record. But Kendrick Lamar's output up to this point was flawless and then some. And for him to go all the way, damn, feels like a departure. It feels like he's, for lack of a better term, run out of things important to say or interesting to say. There's not a cohesive, movement like there is in Good Kid or in Butterfly. It's just kind of a bunch of random thoughts thrown together. And the instrumentation itself isn't as inventive or interesting. It's just kind of lo-fi, and it's slightly jazzy, but it's also a lot more synthetic than some of his other stuff that I don't really care for. I like the live instrumentals that were on To Pimp a Butterfly that really went a long way and why I love that album to begin with. So yeah, I think Damn it's an unfortunate departure, and I really hope whatever Kendrick comes out with next is closer in the vein of Butterfly or Mad City. But of course, that's easier said than done.
Oh, of course, and to that point, exactly. It's like he ran up ideas. Well, Damn came out, what, 2017? That's 5 years ago now. Where's he been?
Yeah.
He's got nothing to say.
He did what, the Black Panther score a couple of years ago, and outside of that, he hasn't released a studio record.
He's disappeared, man. And I actually find that encouraging. Don't keep pumping out Damn and stuff like it. Take your time, let an idea ferment, and get something as good as To Pimp a Butterfly, which I think you and I agree is literally one of the best of the decade.
I'd say it is the best of the decade. I have no problem saying I believe it's the best record of the decade. That's why Damn is so unfortunate for me. Like, give me Untitled Unmastered over Damn every single time, and twice on Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. Well, my first pick is a pretty safe one as far as overrated albums go. You see it crop up on a lot of these lists, but it's the first one I thought of when I think, what's an album that you think is overrated? And that's Metallica Self-Titled, the 1991 album, commonly known as the Black Album, of course. I honestly, again, some people, the diehard Metallica fans, are going to hate this, but I think Metallica as a band is probably overrated as well.
I would agree with that. I totally agree.
Influential for sure, but man, you have Ride the Lightning, awesome. You Kill 'Em All, it's rough, it's jagged around the edges. It's their debut, and I like that too. Master of Puppets, all right, still listen to that every once in a while, but man, once you get up to the early 90s, which I believe is when Black Album came out, you lost me, man. Enter Sandman's kind of cool. The one I actually always remember liking is Sad But True. I thought that was a pretty cool cut off that, but the rest of it just sounds lame. It sounds limp compared to earlier 80s thrash Metallica. And from here, it's straight downhill from Metallica, man.
Right.
The 90s and the 2000s were they were a wasteland for Metallica fans. And to put a final point on this, I saw him. A friend of mine had tickets and was nice enough to give them to me, which I appreciate very much. It was very nice of him. But man, I saw them live, and it was boring. It was so boring. I wanted to. I don't know. And they performed a lot of the stuff off this. Obviously, they were promoting their new album, which again I didn't like very much, but. Yeah, that's my first pick. Metallica Black Album, I think, does not need to be talked about as much as it is. Not a terrible record, but not a great one.
That's fair. I mean, I'm not a huge thrash fan, nor am I a huge Metallica fan, so I don't think highly of that whole. I think they're influential, but I don't love them anyway. So I completely buy that. I wanted to put Metallica. I just didn't know enough about them as a band to go and feel comfortable with putting them on there. But as a band, I find them overrated.
Yeah.
All right, so for my number 2, I'm going hip hop again. I'm going with Eminem, Marshall Mathers, 2002, the Eminem Show, which I feel like is his massive departure. We talked about Kendrick's, this one. So you have the Slim Shady LP, you have the Marshall Mathers LP, which I find to be two of my favorite hip hop records. I love them both. I think they're both landmark for the time, and they're so violent, they're so vulgar and horrible, and that's why I love them. I find them fascinating for those reasons. It felt dangerous. It feels dangerous. The Eminem Show, while you have Cleaning Out My Closet and Without Me and Superman and Till I Collapse, you have some really good tracks on there. But there's so much trash on this record. There's so many departures where in the other two, I go, there's not a bad song on here. You have the Bad Meets Evil and all that kind of stuff, and all of the ridiculous D12 features in the first two records. And here I just go, he's trying to make political statements, or he's trying to sample Aerosmith, which is kind of weird. And you have
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And Square Dance is a horrible song. Haley's song is a horrible song. It feels like this is where the wheels start to fall off. This is half an excellent record, and then half the new Eminem, the new Marshall Mathers, what we see now is where this all began.
And, with, you may debate this, but with the exception of Marshall Mathers LP2, has he put out a good one since?
No, Recovery's terrible.
Relapse
is horrible. The one he just came out with, I don't even remember the name. That's how much it was. Even after Kamikaze came out with something.
Oh, it was the one with the flag on the front.
Yeah. God.
Yeah, it was where he was hitting back at his haters with all the intelligence and nuance of like an angry third grader.
I mean, look, he could still kind of do it when he had Kill Shot, a couple of years ago. That was funny. But yeah, in terms of an album form, Eminem has fallen off so hard. And I know we got rated like the artist of the 2000s by a lot of different publications. And I don't know. I only feel like he has one good record from that decade and really 2.5 good records overall.
Yeah. Yeah. 2.5. Exactly. Well, another 2000s artist that segued nicely, artist of the 2000s, one of the biggest artists of the 2000s was Green Day. And my pick for another overrated album is American Idiot from 2004. This is the one that I thought you and I might have had in common. I don't know if we totally agree on this or not, but I think both of us would not even put this in our top 5 Green Day albums, let alone a great album.
I like American Idiot, but I don't think it's Green Day's best. I think it's probably my 3rd or 4th favorite Green Day record after Warning and Dookie.
Yeah, Dookie's got to be number
I've never
one.
minded this record, but I see where people couldn't like it. It's definitely a departure from their sound or what they used to be.
Because look, you had Jesus of Suburbia, which was that sort of longer thing that they had at the beginning. I actually enjoyed that quite a bit. I thought that was an interesting new direction for them to try. And then the other one that I always remember is Holiday. You can't hate Holiday. It's just a fantastic song. But the title track and all the rest of the deep cuts just don't do anything for me, man. It feels like Rebellion by Focus Group. Like it's trendy. I mean, they went from a band with all the energy and punkiness, and I know it's pop, or punk purists won't say they're punk, but the pop punk had an energy that was infectious about it, that they did well and Blink did well. And I feel like it's kind of just evaporated by this point. And another artist on this list, it's all downhill from here. Uno Do Tre.
Yeah.
If I swear to God, and if I hear 21 Guns one more time, it'll be too soon before I die. I mean, I can't stand that song. And then they have some other thing, Father of All.
Watching Anthony Fantano clown Father of All is some of the best things YouTube has to offer. It's so funny because what is it? It's
garbage.
Like, no Swedish songwriters and no auto tune and no features, just pure unadulterated 100% uncut rock. I'm like, hang it up. That's it. Just call it a day.
If you need to try that hard,
you're just dads now. You're like old now and out of touch. It's terrible. And it's so sad because they were cool and rebellious when they were first around.
Oh, yeah. They're honestly, and I forget that just how early they were, man. Like you talk about Blink-182 being a 2000s band. Green Day was a 90s band.
Yeah.
They were they started out in like the early 90s and had all those great songs and albums through like the 90s into the 2000s. So really post 2004, I don't even want to hear it, man. It's just, they're done for me.
No, they need to call it a day. They really do. And then, all right. So My next up is a band that I find overrated in the similar vein of Metallica, and that is ACDC, Back in Black.
Oh
I
no.
it is the post Bon Scott, first Brian Johnson record, and you have good tracks on here. You have the title track, you shook me all night long, you have Hell's Bells, all fine, but the deep cuts in it, I find them so uninteresting and uninventive, and I don't care for it. Highway to Hell is fine. It is what it is. I could deal with that song and that album on its own. But Back in Black, I'm like, I'll take the hits and the rest you can keep. I don't want any of it.
Oh man, that breaks my heart. I love that album. I think that's one of my favorite albums of that period in hard rock, man. I with the exception of Giving the Dog a Bone, which is just an uncomfortable song, kind of creepy, a little rapey, if we're
Yeah,
honest.
a little
All
bit.
the rest of that album I think is fantastic. Noise Pollution is one you didn't mention. I love that song, man. You don't like Noise Pollution?
I I don't. I do not like it. I don't. I
Ugh.
don't get what the fuck what is rock and roll ain't noise? What does that mean? I don't get it. I don't.
What
I
is
find
what
I
is
just
what is Hell's Bells? It's just
it's fair.
yeah.
I don't like noise pollution. I don't know. Maybe it's the riff too that it gets me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find very little about this album to like. I mean, I like American Idiot a lot, and you like this album quite a lot. So I guess we'll agree to disagree.
All right. Well, my next pick is kind of it's not obscure because it's constantly had its people that have been talking about it really ever since its release. But that's Captain Beefheart Trout Mask Replica.
I thought about putting it on there.
Yeah, okay. And here's the thing. Is it bad? No. No, it's not bad. It's extremely interesting. The experiments are very compelling to me to listen to. I like the album. I think it is a good album. But then you've got all these publications doing these lengthy investigations talking about how it's this unparalleled work of genius. And it isn't. It just is not. It's cool. I like hearing it every once in a while, but it should not have the like Jesus on a hill reputation among people, especially online lately. It seems like all these Consequence of Sound did an article on it. Pitchfork did an article on it. It's like
All the
what
musical
do you,
hipsters, man. They love it.
right. That's what it is. And I feel like all these people evangelizing it online probably haven't even heard it. I mean, that's seriously how I feel about it, because if they did, they might stop.
Right. They
So
were
that's
on
my
that
next
old
pick.
that old forum MU or Mew, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
They're all on that.
they were crazy about this album.
All right. My next up is a recent record from last year. I want to see if you know where I'm going with this. It got 100% or a 10 out of 10 on Pitchfork, and we need to just call a spade a spade. Fiona Apple, Fetch the Bolt Cutters, is overrated as all hell. I like this album. I would rate this album a strong 7 to a light 8. Okay. I find this album to be very good, but it's not a perfect record by any means. The instrumentals are fine. The vocals and the lyrics are good, but it's basically like if you gave Regina Spektor a bag full of meth and said, go play. That's what this record sounds like. It sounds like any other Regina Spektor record out there. And that's okay, because I like Regina Spektor. And this is, like I said, this is a fine album. But we need to, temper our expectations for what this is.
Go ahead, sorry. To add insult to injury, did you see the 2020 edition of Rolling Stone's top 500 albums of all time?
I did not. Was this on there?
Oh my God, it wasn't in the 400s, it wasn't in the 300s, it wasn't in the 200s. It was like 100. Like they put this like
God.
People are going crazy for this album, and I'm with you, man. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I looked at Pitchfork's end of year list last year. Clippings album was not on there. Okay. Charlie XCX's record was number 48. Like, I can't sit there and act like I like this better than either of those. I found both of those significantly better.
Well,
but
you know
this
what it
is the end all be all.
Pitchfork is like, they will do hip hop and they'll do like indie Waxahachie type crap, which I can get on board with sometimes. But man, that's all they do. There's no rock. There's no metal. There's no metal. I
No.
mean, where was Alphaville, Imperial Triumphant's album last year on anybody's list? That album is borderline genre defining. It's fantastic. And instead we got Fiona Apple fetch the bolt cutter. So I'm
Look,
with you
you
on that
think
one. Hugely overrated.
if Pitchfork heard Swans to Be Kind, you think they would like shit their pants? Like it might frighten them.
Yeah. And
Rock
again,
apocalypse.
that is the kind of thing that needs to be talked about more. Not all
Yeah.
these like, how high did they put that Dua Lipa song on their I mean, it's like who's going to talk about that in T minus now? Nobody.
God. No, Dua
All right,
Lipa is
so
just like another version of Fun Period. It sounds like it's going to die out in 5 years. Nobody's going to remember
no,
it.
it's just a fad. It's so of its time. It's not lasting.
No.
I'm totally with you on that pick. That easily could have made my list, but I think about it so little I didn't even think to put it on this list. So that
I
says something
remembered it and I
about it.
was like, this has to go on there. I need to bash the shit out of this record.
So my next pick is slightly obscure as an album, but everybody knows the lead single. So the album is Urban Hymns, came out in the late 90s. The band is the Verve, and the song, in case nobody's with me yet, is Bittersweet Symphony. You probably have heard that song many times. Now, it's funny, my journey with this song started when I was like 11, and I heard it and I thought, wow, that's a really cool song. And you hear it on and off through the years, and literally without fail, every single time I've heard it, I've liked it less. I used to think it was a great song, catchy, good energy, but now it's like, man, those strings are so tinny and so fake. They're just grating to the ear. The song lasts for 15 hours. It seems like it's only like 5 minutes, but it feels like it's so long and it never goes anywhere. It doesn't develop. It's just a bittersweet symphony. It's for 5 minutes, nothing with those horrible ear piercing things. And so here's the thing. The one other good song is The Drugs Don't Work, which is just okay. I mean, it's just an okay song. But the whole rest of the album, the deep cuts, and this album's so great, it's like several times platinum if my memory is working for me right now. I think it's multiple platinum. God knows why. Urban Hymns was terrible. Nobody's listening to this now. This album has no legacy. It's just that one song that made them arguably a one-hit wonder. So I feel like that was my pick. I don't know why anybody cared about this band back in the day, and even less now.
You know, they never made a dime off this because I'm pretty sure the Rolling Stones sued them.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's a video about it. I'll send it to you later. But yeah, there's
okay.
Apparently they sample something from the Rolling Stones and they were like, you can't do that.
Well, that makes me feel a little bit, that makes me feel better.
All right. So my final pick, this is going to hurt you, I'm sure. This is my Stephen A. Smith hot take of hot takes.
Okay. Hit me with it.
The Wall. I find it overrated.
I knew you were going to put that on this fucking list. I told somebody before we started.
There's so many songs I like on this record, and I like this record a lot. Okay, Run Like Hell and Hey You and Comfortably Numb, and the concept is so cool, and especially the movie's cool. If you ever watch the stage show with the actual building wall, it's so cool. But if I'm gonna compare it to the golden age of Pink Floyd, Animals, Dark Side, Wish You Were Here, it's a very clear fourth for me. I don't think it's worse than Metal or Adam Hart Mother or Piper. It's better than all those. But to me, it is so far below those three records that I go, it's a little bit overrated. It's not in the same ilk. It's close, but it's just not there.
I 100% knew that you would have this on that list. And it breaks my heart, man. I love The Wall and I love Pink Floyd. Maybe I've been blinded a bit by my love of Pink Floyd in this record, because a lot of people are of the opinion that you have, which is that it really, if you break it down to how many good songs versus how many flyover tracks, probably doesn't do that well. And we also agree that Animals is by far and away the best Pink Floyd project. I think we agree.
I love
on
Animals. It's my
but
favorite.
Man, I can't divorce the greatness that is Floyd in that period. Those four that you just named, from Dark Side through to Roger Waters leaving the band on the final cut. We'll get the final cut out of here because it's just kind of sad, whatever. Right. But those four, golden age of Floyd, 70s Floyd. I can't. It's all so fantastic. I can't. I think it's appropriately rated as the definitive concept album. So I knew you'd put that on there. But hey, I got some revenge. You want to know what my next one is?
Right.
Weezer's Pinkerton.
Oh, fair. It's a very fair pick.
Yeah, that was the next one. This is the one that I knew I would get you back on. So The Good Life is all right. Tired of Sex is kind of a cool song, but man, the rest is like, who's going back and listening to like El Scorcho these days? Who the hell even this album? Yeah, you are. Yeah, okay, I knew. Yeah, you are, but nobody else. So I'll keep my wall. You keep Pinkerton. So everybody likes the Blue Album, myself included. The energy's great. The sort of DIY vibe, even though it's actually pretty well produced. The DIY atmosphere and energy and all that stuff is fantastic. All those songs are great. Say It Ain't So, that whole thing. But man, they just, and I don't think they ever did another good one, man. I think they had one good album, the debut, the Blue Album. And then from Pinkerton, which isn't the worst thing I've ever heard. I mean, it's not like it's just a garbage album, but it's so much lower than Blue Album. I wouldn't even really call it a good album, to be honest. And then all the whole rest of it, it's just not good. They started doing these Africa covers in the last few years. You seen that shit?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a cash grab because they know they're not good anymore. And you tell somebody, you go, you try to say, Weezer might really have never been all that great outside of you for one record, me for two records. And
Yeah.
people go, oh, I love Weezer. I go, what's your favorite Weezer song? Say It Ain't So. Okay, well, that's off their first record.
That's their first, that's their debut.
Not that great. They're really, they
20,
are
that's older
one of
than
the
we
most
are, that song.
overrated bands out there. I know. Came out in 94. Weezer is fine for a couple of albums, but after that, they are just another boilerplate, overproduced band that doesn't have anything interesting to say or really do.
No, and they keep doing the same thing, and it just becomes less and less believable and endearing as they get into their 40s. You know what I mean? These people talking about Saying It Ain't So and all that. The energy was there when these guys were like 22, but they're pushing 50 now. Rivers Cuomo is like, what is he, like 45 or something?
Yeah,
I can't
he's
remember.
probably in his mid-late 40s.
Yeah, but it's just, I can't do it anymore. And that's my final pick. I know that hurts you a little bit. I know that you are a firm believer that Weezer has two albums, whereas I only think they have one. But yeah, that I think it's overrated, man. I think Pinkerton is the beginning of the rest of their career, which is mediocrity.
To me, it's the thing about Pinkerton is it's such a hard grower. Like it has to be, you have to go back so many times before you finally go, this is pretty good. And by that point, most people are like, I can't do it anymore. Like it's been 3 listens and I hate this. I can't do it. And it's fair.
I'm in that camp, man. I can't. I've got things to do in my life. I can't keep.
Right.
I can't listen to this album until I agree with you. I've heard it several times. It just doesn't. I don't know, man. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's a long grower. You got to plant that seed, that Pinkerton seed, let it grow. But not for me. So that concludes my list. Yours as well, I think, aren't we? Did you do your 5? Okay.
Yep, we're all done.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Mike, good to have you as always. We'll talk again soon. Thanks for watching.